Okay guys, so now we're going to move on to the cuticle stage of the nails. Okay, so what I always do is start off by using my cuticle pusher. So I use the Katie Barnes cuticle pusher, which has got this end, and then it's also got this end which you can use to sort of scrape away anything that's adhered to the nail plate. So you always start with your pusher at a 45-degree angle, as I've explained in other videos. If you hold it too flat, it literally won't do anything, it will just glide over. And if you hold it too high, again, it will do the same thing. And obviously if you're holding it at certain angles, this is where you're going to end up scraping into the nail plate. Okay, so you want a nice 45-degree angle, and all we're doing here is we're just pushing the cuticle at the moment here, and we're just pushing that cuticle back. Now remember, with your cuticles, you do need to be aware that you've got to, obviously you need to be firm, but not too firm that you're going to end up causing any damage, especially to this area here, which is the matrix, which is where the soft cells are beginning to form. And obviously as they get further up the nail, they'll harden and they'll keratinize. So you do need to just make sure you are being a little bit careful there. Okay, so all we're doing at this moment in time is just pushing that cuticle back and just going over anything that has adhered to the nail plate. Okay, ignore that bit there. Okay, I've done that one already in another demo video, so I'm just going to skip that one out. So you'll see that will push quite a bit of it off. So then we come in with this end here, and all I'm doing is I'm pulling the skin back from one of my finger with my finger to my thumb, just rolling that skin back slightly, and then you just gliding this over. So again, these are sharp, especially these corners, so just be careful that you're not poking, otherwise you will make the cuticle sore. So you literally are just gliding this over and scraping back any of that dead skin that's stuck to the nail plate, right? And then you're scooping around here like this. Okay, so we're not scratching the nail plate, we are literally just taking off that dead skin, that dead cuticle that is adhered to the nail plate. Okay, again, making sure that around this area here you are being careful. So same process onto the other, so you're pulling the skin back and you're just working up from the side wall and this side wall here. So this is where the main prep work is, guys. You need to be making sure that all of this cuticle, and now some people will have cuticle that comes really far up, you need to be making sure you are removing this cuticle, because if you apply any product to the nail and there is still cuticle on the nail plate, it will compromise the set. As the nail starts to grow, the cuticle will move with it. The cuticle will then cause the product to lift at the bottom, which obviously you don't want. And also, when you apply your set, if there's any cuticle still left on the nail plate, it won't be flawless. The product, the finish, it won't be flawless because there is something else underneath. So you can see there's quite a bit of cuticle there that's adhered to the nail plate. And again, if you've got somebody that's got particularly thick cuticles, you would perhaps want to use your cuticle remover. But you do have to bear in mind with the C&D cuticle remover, you do have to apply, I've got a bottle, if I ever use that, I've got a bottle of water with some soap that's in it that I spray, because you do need to make sure you remove that off the nail, because it does continue to work. So just check your cuticle removers, make sure that it's not one that does need to be removed. The other thing you can do, as I've mentioned before, you can use your cuticle eraser. You can retail that to your customers, your clients, and you could be saying, especially people that are nail biters, you'll find that people that used to be nail biters that have sets, their cuticles tend to be quite thick. So they're the sort of people you'd want to be retailing your cuticle eraser to, because what that will do is the hydroxy acids in it will help to exfoliate the dead skin. It'll help to soften that cuticle, and if there's somebody that has quite a big build up over time, if they're using it as their aftercare advice on a daily basis, it will help to soften that cuticle and you won't get so much regrowth from that. And then if they're following it up with their cuticle oil as well, it's almost like a shampoo, and then you're using your cuticle oil as the conditioner. So I've done all that. Now this is when you would then come in with your cuticle nippers. Okay, so I'm actually, before I do this step, I'm actually going to come in with my e-file again, because if you are trained in manicure, pedicure with your e-file, you can then come in with your bit on a lower setting. And what you can do is you can then just, again, come round the side and just remove any that's on the nail plate. But again, this is something you do have to be qualified in to do. But if you aren't, it is most definitely worth doing, because I recently trained in this. I mean, I've been trained in e-file for a while, but I upskilled and I paid and did a one-to-one and learnt how to do the sort of manicure pedicure using the e-file. So obviously got the hard skin on the feet as well and all the cuticle work, and honestly this makes a massive difference to your sets, to your finished results, because it will help to all those little dry flaky bits that you can't quite get, and you obviously don't want to be going at with your cuticle like nippers and things and making the area sore or anything. You can literally go round and use this. I mean, you can see how much more cuticle is coming off. This isn't nail plate, this is all cuticle. Yeah, because you've got it on a very, very low setting, so you're just removing all that cuticle that's adhered to the nail plate here. So just to let you know, guys, I qualified with my award in education and training over a year ago now, and I have been in the process of creating my own manuals to do my own training, and it is something that I'm working on completing. So any of you that are interested in any one-to-ones, upskilling in any particular thing, anything that you are a little bit unsure of and you want a bit of extra help in, or anybody that would like to qualify in gel polish, manicure, pedicure, builder in a bottle, e-file, I am going to be doing courses soon, so watch this space. If you are interested, please do feel free to drop me a message and give me your email address, and what I'll do is when I've got it all in motion and I'm ready to run the programs, I will drop you an email and you'll be the first to know. So if there's any, obviously I do put like free education on here anyway, troubleshooting, help, and you know, the things I do when I'm doing my sets and things. But obviously the courses, you'll get a hell of a lot more information in it, and obviously they are accredited courses, so you will be able to have a certificate at the end of it which you can be insured yourself with. So yeah, if you want any more information on those, or you want to be added to my mailing list, just drop me a message either on here or on my Instagram or WhatsApp, whatever. Drop me a message and I can add you to my mailing list, no problem. Or as always, if you've got any questions with anything, guys, just ask me. and I will get back to you as soon as I can. So as I say, not everybody will have qualified in this particular step, and if you haven't, that's fine. You can do what I would normally do, use your cuticle pusher, and then you would come in with either your nippers or your scissors, whatever your preference is for your cuticle prep. But you just need to make sure that you are removing all traces of cuticle off your nail. This is the most satisfying step, I think, as well. And this is something, guys, that you should not be rushing. So, you know, if you've got clients and you feel like they're rushing you, they're really not the ideal clients, because this step is the most important and they should understand that. And it's this that will set your nails and your sets apart from other people's. The amount of clients that I've got that will say to me, oh, nobody ever used to do this on my nails. They never used to do all the cuticle work, because sometimes it can take me a good, I don't know, 40 minutes to do people's, like the prep work is the bit that takes the longest. And that is the part that, you know, it will take you a while to do, but once you've done it, you then just come in with your product and it, you know, the finished result is flawless. So I do have clients that say to me, oh, where I used to go, they never used to do any of this. And they only used to take 25 minutes. And it's like, wow. Again, timing, guys, as you get more experienced, you'll be able to bring your timings down, but it's not something I think you should be worrying about. It's the quality of your work that you want to be thinking about, rather than feeling like you've got to rush through sets. If ever I feel like I've got a client that's got to be somewhere else and they're rushing me, you know, I always, especially if it's a new client and they book in, I will always say to them, if it's a new set, yeah, you'll be with me for 2 hours. Obviously, if they're wanting nail art, then I'm like, well, you'll be with me for, you know, 2 hours, and then however long for the nail art, depending on how intricate the nail art is, it could be an extra half an hour. So I always make a point of letting them know, because, you know, if they've got any other appointments or anything, you do not want to feel like you are rushing that set because they've got to be somewhere else. Let them know time frame wise. So before, I used to be really naughty. I used to cut all this bit off, this hard skin here. But since I've been using my e-file, I don't cut any of that anymore. Because as you will be aware, that if you over cut cuticle, all it does is it makes it grow back thicker. So obviously, where I always used to cut at these because I used to hate it, or I used to bite that bit of my skin, all it does is it encourages it to come back thicker. So it's great, because now I've got this, now I've trained in this, I don't bite it anymore. I literally just use my ball to take the hard skin down. And tidy up around the cuticles. So I have gone through and I've gone over with the pusher, pushed all the cuticle back. I've then come in and I have scraped away any areas that have adhered to the nail plate. I've then gone through with my e-file, but again, if you haven't got that, then you wouldn't do that step. So you'd be finishing off doing this step here, like this. And then I always just go back and give it another push over. And then I am going to come in with my scissors. You can obviously use nippers if you would prefer, whatever your preference. I like these because they've got a nice curve to them and you're just using the spring of your finger. Whereas over the years when I've used cuticle nippers, the way I hold them is like this. So what happens is I end up getting like a bit of a build-up of a callus, and because they're sort of a straight edge, they don't curve round. So I just prefer using these. They are a lot more delicate. So if I show you, I'll show you on this one actually here. So you will be able to see here, there's this bit of cuticle here. So this is what you need to be taking. This is what you need to be removing. You do not want to be removing like the fleshy part. So like here, you'll see that's like a jelly strip. That's a fleshy part. If you start taking away the jelly strip here, the fleshy part of the cuticle, that's actually living tissue. And so what happens is you cut that, it will make the skin sore. It will also create like an opening. Now your cuticle is there to serve as a seal here where your nail grows from your matrix. Okay, so it's there to serve as a seal to protect that nail. Now if you go in and you cut that, it will make it sore. It opens that site up for possible infection to get in. And again, if you need to obviously be making sure that the products that, the equipment that you're using, you are sterilising and you are disinfecting, because if you don't, and you do nip somebody and you haven't cleaned these in between clients, then the bacteria is obviously going to get into that open site. So just be mindful of these sort of things. So yeah, so you want to be removing this part of the cuticle here. Hopefully you'll see that. So again, you're pulling the skin back, and obviously with these are perfect for this because I can come in and I can just cut that. And these you can just follow it around. Gate banging, it's quite windy out there. I'll try and do this as best I can so that you can actually see. So you'll see how I'm just, well, that bit's just come off, but then what you do is you just follow this bit around, okay? If there's still any there, I tend to shut the blades, pull any out that you think so then it exposes this piece here, okay? So you're coming back in and removing that. Only remove what you need to, guys, and once you've done that, if you are trained in your e-file, you can then just come back round again with your ball just to make sure that there aren't any little bits. So again, I'm just going to take that little bit of skin there. So just be careful. So like here you see where I've been picking at my cuticle. You just need to be mindful, again, not to catch any of that and make it sore. So even though it looks like it, you know, you want to take it, don't be tempted to, because once you've finished, you can actually come in with your soda oil at the end and hydrate all of that, and it will soften it. And it will get rid of any of those sort of white dry patches. Okay guys. Okay, so once you're happy, that's your cuticle work done and you've removed all of the cuticle, you can then come over with one of these. So this is where I come in and I just buff round just to make sure there's no flaky bits still adhered to the nail plate. And again, we're not sawing backwards and forwards, we are literally just going in one direction over just to make sure it's smooth. These bits here, you can really make sure you get into those. So again, if the client like myself has been picking at the skin, just be mindful when you're coming around these areas because you can catch them. You don't want to catch them and make them worse. Okay, and then once you've done all of that and you're happy with the cuticle work, this is when you need to come in with your scrub fresh. Now, you want a lint-free wipe. I've got my Scrub Fresh here in this bottle, so a couple of pumps, and again, you're wanting to make sure that you are just dehydrating that nail. So you come round, try and avoid getting too much on the skin, and you'll see there it dehydrated. So I'll show you on this one as well. So we're coming right up and round, and if you watch, you'll see that nail change colour where you're dehydrating it. Okay, so work it into right up. You don't want any oils, any natural oils on that nail plate. Now this is something that I find, again, people have issues with, where there's lifting. So I find that one of the main causes of lifting, when you know you've done all your cuticle prep and everything's been done, you know, properly, and it's not anything down to the way that you've prepped the nails, this is something that you need to be mindful of, because I have had it in the past where I've done someone's cuticles, I've prepped all the nails, I've gone over with the Scrub Fresh, and I've literally cleansed over that one hand with the Scrub Fresh, moved on to the second hand to cleanse with the Scrub Fresh, and in that time, those seconds where I'm moving from one hand to the other, the client will lift their hand up and they'll run it through their hair, or they'll touch their face, or they'll rest their hand on their chin, or, you know, they're touching something, or they'll touch their phone, and you've literally just cleansed the nail, ready to put the colour on or the product on. So I now always get into the habit of, even though I've cleansed one hand and then moved on to the next one, I will always make a point of, before I go to put that base coat back on, I will then go back over again and really make sure I've got it, because if they have touched their hair or their face or their phone, there could be a trace of oil or something on their nail, and you go to put your product on, unbeknownst to you, they've touched their face and there's a barrier created, and then it causes the lift, and then a few days later you get the message, oh, you know, it's lifted, I don't know what's happened, da, 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 da. And that's, you know, if everything else is fine, and it, you know, all the rest of your prep work and everything that you've done is fine, it's usually down to that. So just be mindful, once you prep the hand and you go on to prep the other hand, before you reapply the bonder, always just go back over with the Scrub Fresh again, because for something that takes 2 seconds to do, it can save you so much hassle. So that's them ready to go. If you do come in, say for example you did one hand and then moved on to the other, and you decided to apply some cuticle eraser, you would need to make sure again that you're really using your Scrub Fresh to work into it and make sure that there's no product left on the skin. All right, guys.